What's up, Heat Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Miami Heat Roundtable. My name is Amir, joined by the entire crew today. Excited to see the guys. It's been a while since we've chatted with the entire group. So we got Trent. You can find him at Miami Heat Network. We got Ernest. You can find him at Miami Heat Talk. And of course, we got Martel. You can find him at the Miami Heat Zone podcast. So been kind of boring. Right now, we're in between the All Star break and the next game for the Miami Heat, which is going to be on Friday against the Pelicans. So, not a lot of news, not a lot of things have been going on. And quite frankly, I'm sure we all miss basketball a little bit right now. But this past weekend, we were able to watch, or I don't know about you guys, I didn't watch the All Star game, thankfully, but it was All Star weekend this past weekend. I did watch the Saturday night, like, skills challenge, 3-point shootout, and dunk contest. We could talk about that a little bit because we know some guys from the Heat represented All Star Weekend. But overall, man, it was trash from what I heard of. So thank God I didn't watch the game on Sunday. But again, Jaime Jaquez was in the dunk contest, and Bam was in the All Star game, and then also Alonda's Williams actually played really well in the Rising Stars game. So we could talk about that. So did any of you guys watch? We'll start off with whoever wants to go first.
Man,
Like, what are your thoughts on All Star Weekend, man?
bro, listen. Cancel All Star Weekend now. That shit is crap. Bro, I was watching this All Star game. I was excited. I had work that day. I worked the 9 to 6 that day, right? The All Star game was at 8 o'clock. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to come home, take a shower, eat, watch the All Star game, make some content out of it, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty good because last year I enjoyed it. Yeah, this shit was fucking trash. Bro, they need to cancel the whole thing. The only thing that was entertaining to me, at least, was Steph versus Sabrina in the 3-point contest. The dunk contest was horrible. And then Jaime,
Wow, you said it right real quick. Hold on a
I
second.
yeah. I've been
I think that's the
practicing.
first time you ever said it right.
Listen, Jaime, him dunking over Shaq wasn't big enough just because of the fact that he's taller. So if Matt McClung dunks over Shaq, it's the end of the world because he's a smaller piece, and that's why I don't like big people. Like, well, I won't say big people, but you get it. Like the hype in the crowd is not going to be as hyped as Matt McClung dunks over Shaq because Mac McClung's like 4 feet and then Jaime is like 6'7". You see what I'm saying? So the dunk contest is always gonna be trash. They put Jaylen Brown in the finals when he should have been in the finals. The dude was horrible. I get it, it's
Horrible.
just the star power and stuff like that. So All Star Weekend was terrible. Doc Rivers is a terrible head coach. The dude's a terrible head coach in the All-Star game, which I never knew because you have 15 superstar players and somehow you're still horrible as a coach. That doesn't make sense to me. Dude, and then when Bam gets the ball, when Bam got on the court, he made a tweet like, yo, they really don't be passing the ball. They give my man Bam the opportunity or chance to do anything. But the only thing that I let my Martell and Ernest talk about it was the Dame and Bam situation. I think that's the only thing that really came out interesting coming out of All Star Weekend. So yeah,
Just to put my 2 cents on it, I'm gonna tell y'all with the dunk contest why Mac McClung won, and respect is given to him. How much money were all those three other guys making? Jaime Jaquez making 3.8 mil. Tobin, I think, is making around 2 mil. Jaylen Brown got the biggest contract in NBA history, while Mac McClung is making only $150,000 this season with the G League team. Homeboy needed to win that dunk contest to get that money and to get the exposure. So congrats for Mac McClung. I agree with Trent. The dunk contest is not the way that it used to be. I grew up in the 90s and in the early 2000s. I no need to say more. The last awesome dunk contest I remember was 2016 with Aaron Gordon against Zach LaVine. I know Derrick Jones Jr. and Eric Gordon had a really good one in 2020 also, but 2016 was the best one recently. Moving to the All-Star game, I have a great idea for the All-Star game. The reason why the All-Star game sucks donkey dick is because there's no incentive like the NFL Pro Bowl. I don't even know if you guys know this or not. I don't know if they still do this because I don't really follow the sport that much. But I remember in the 90s and the early 2000s, I watched me a lot of baseball because the Florida Marlins was ripping ass. And I remember in the All-Star games you have the home run derby, but then you have the All-Star game. And the winner of the All-Star game gets home court advantage for the World Series. If the NBA were to change the All-Star weekend to whoever wins the All-Star game, East or West, that's who get home court's advantage in the NBA Finals. You do that, and I swear to God, we're going to have a different All-Star game every year. But they're not going to do that in the NBA because it's all about seeding. It's not fair. Like, for example, if Miami makes the NBA Finals as an 8th seed last year, and then we did the All-Star weekend the way I'm saying it, Miami would have home court advantage over Denver. So I know people would lose their fucking minds doing something like that. But if you want to make the All-Star game better, give it some incentive.
Yeah, I don't know if that would work also in general because most of those players are not going to be in the finals. So most of those players that like are not going to have to try as hard because they're like, hey, we're not going to make it to the finals. So it's only going to, but it will impact a few players like Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and a few other Embiid, whoever. Like those guys want to try for it because they are contenders. But
everybody's going to want to make the finals. You're supposed to want to make the finals. I mean, if you're trying to give people money for winning the All-Star game, it's not going to be nowhere near their salary. So that was my point.
Yeah, money won't make sense for these guys because they're the greatest players and they make the most money. Like, right? The worst all-star is making, $40 million a year. Like, it's like, what, you're going to give me $1 million? Like, they don't care. The money can't. That's a good idea. I think there needs to be some other ideas to make it competitive, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch a single minute and I'm glad I didn't. And that dunk contest, don't get me started, Ernest, because I'm a 90s kid and 2000 kid. And when you're doing dunks that they did in the 90s, which is just a basic type of windmill, like, come on, it's 2024. Like, and all they did was jump over a guy. Like, how many times do you have to jump over people? Like, that's like, there's no creativity. Like, Jaylen Brown was the worst and made it to the finals, right? I mean, Jaime might have been the second best, right? Or even third best. It was between him and Toppin. But either way, even Jaime disappointed me, bro. Like, what the fuck, dude? Where's your creativity? Do something chill. Like, I don't know. But Martel, what did you think? Did you watch any of this stuff over the weekend? Any thoughts?
I mean, there's just no love for the game. Like I know y'all, want to talk about money and all these other things, but there's just no love for the game. We shouldn't have to pay these guys more millions of dollars to put another ball through a hoop. Why is Duncan not in the 3-point competition? Jaime did okay. I mean, I just think that to change that whole dunk thing, they need to actually put NBA stars. So people like LeBron James, he should be participating in it. I don't understand why we have to convince people. And then, like I said, like it really just comes down to the love of the game. Because trust me, all these other prior All-Star games, you would see players compete. You would see them play. I'm not saying obviously go balls to the walls, to where people get hurt, but there's just no love for the game. That's it.
Yeah,
I will say this though, right?
Yeah.
Let me say this, right? This All-Star game, they didn't even try in the fourth quarter. At least other All-Star games, they tried, their target score. This one, they didn't even attempt to try. The game was already over at halftime because the West didn't do nothing. East was just going crazy. So like that was an annoying part. But I will say, right, because I look at both point of views, right? So I've been in school more recent than you guys, right? So this is their break, right? They look forward to this break, right? So I remember when I was back in high school, we had this break, and I'm like, yo, we're looking forward. We're gonna relax. We're not doing nothing about it. Da-da-da-da. So to them, another point of view, and I understand each one of your sides because I want people to compete too. But they're like, you know what? I don't gotta play basketball for real. I've been doing that. You gotta realize these NBA players are practicing every day. They're with their team every single day. They don't get no time to themselves at all. So this is the time they're like, you know what? I'm around people I never get to see. They're not around LeBron. When do you get time to be around LeBron or like any of these other star players? Like meet up with your old friends. So that's why I think they don't really take it too serious. And the players spoke out like, this is just a break for us. Like we don't care. And it sucks for the league, unfortunately, because they're still trying to make money off this for Adam. So they're trying to make money off this and stuff like that. But I understand from the players' perspective, LeBron was playing in the All-Star game, and he's not even about to play in the next game that they're supposed to play in a real game. He's hurt. Like literally the Golden State Warriors, his ankle's still messed up and stuff. Like he's not gonna play. He still needs treatment and stuff. So these players are not gonna go berserk. They're not gonna go try hard. It is what it is. I don't think no one's gonna fix it. And we're just going to have to keep living with it. I think it's cool, though, when they keep adding, like, a little events like Steph versus Sabrina. I don't know. I really like that. I found it very entertaining. She was not missing. She was wet. She almost
That was Steph. Probably the most entertaining part of the weekend.
Yeah, so that's what I thought, man. So I think All-Star Weekend is pretty much dead. I will say, though, Dame wants to go to Miami. I don't care what anybody says. He wants to play for this team. Dame wants to play for Miami. And don't be surprised if some Dame lands on our team. I don't care. He's landing on the Miami Heat until when his career is done and over with. He's playing with this organization. He's playing with this team for a fact. I just know it.
Well, that's a great segue.
Yeah. He is not happy. He is not happy in Milwaukee. I know for a fact he's not happy over there. He's not. But yeah, I just that's just my opinion.
Yep, Ernest, what happened? We saw like a report come out after or during All-Star break. Dame was interviewed by someone, and he was asked, "What's your optimal starting lineup? Who would you want to be on your starting five?"
And none of his teammates were on that list, but someone was on that list with this boy right here, Bam Adebayo. Look, I did a video about Damian Lillard not coming to the Heat recently. We all talked about it in the offseason. We all know that Dame Lillard wants to be in Miami. He don't want to be in Milwaukee. I mean, where would you rather live? Milwaukee or Miami? No disrespect to people who live in the state of Wisconsin. No disrespect to Milwaukee. I love that 70s show. I'm a huge fan of that TV show. It's based off of Wisconsin. Y'all have your cheese, and that's cool. But you can't tell me that this dude who was living in Portland for 11 years, he wanted to be in Miami, demanded to come to Miami, and at the 11th hour, Milwaukee swoops in and steals him. Of course the dude ain't happy. He's going through a divorce. Where do you think you want to go through in a divorce? That cold-ass weather in Milwaukee or seeing the sixth man of the Miami Heat, the big booty Latina women that live down here? Who would you rather be around? Of course he wanted to be with the Heat. He's upset. He's annoyed. He won the three-point contest and the All-Star MVP to shut everybody up that was talking crap about him. Trent, I don't agree. I don't think he's going to get to Miami. It's just not going to happen. He was the one that did it himself. Be a man. If you want to say you want to go somewhere, be a man and stick with your guns. He bitched out. Portland didn't want to send him to Miami. He should have done what James Harden did. He should have stayed his course. He should have continued to play chicken. He was the one that pulled out at the last second. He was the one that said, send me to Milwaukee or Brooklyn if you don't have anything in Miami, and they did. So he shot himself in the foot. Heat fans, we done with Lillard. You're gone. Goodbye. That dream is over. Move forward.
Yeah, but I will say, not to cut you off, Martel and Amir, Dame's personality is not like that. James Harden's a drama queen. He's a drama queen. He does whatever it takes to do whatever it takes. And honestly, where has it got him? And unless he wins a championship with the Clippers, all that drama queen stuff hasn't done much for James Harden. It got him to the teams that he wanted to play for, but they all been disasters, right?
True.
So Dame's just not that type of guy. And I think I didn't know y'all back then, and I kept preaching this when Dame's trade saga and stuff like that. I said, why? They asked me in the comments, why isn't he doing what James Harden is? That's not who Dame is. Dame's always a stood-up guy. He's on loyalty. He's on respect. And he's about morals. That's who Dame is at the end of the day. And I think that's why he didn't do that. It's like, okay, if you can't get it. But also, we can't blame Dame also. We got to look at our front office. They played a big factor in this shit. They thought they're the big dogs. They like, if you want to play for us, you're going to come play for us, and we're going to give you whatever the fuck we want. Okay, Portland said, okay, I'm going to ship them off over here. So you got to look at the front office. You got to look at Dame, and you just got to look at whatever. It's over now. But there's just several sides to it that I think it's not just Dame's fault or maybe fully Miami's fault. So
we don't need to always throw the front office under the bus because yes, they piss us off. We can critique them at times, but would you want the front office of the Portland Trailblazers and the Memphis Grizzlies and all these other poverty franchises that have never won a championship? No. So it's also Joe Cronin. Like, thank you for saying that Damian Lillard is obviously a different person than shitty ass James Harden, right? So obviously James Harden has no problem burning bridges, obviously, compared to Damian Lillard. But to Ernest's point, though, he did back out and say, all right, this consolation prize is fine with me. I'll play with Giannis because Giannis is someone he did want to play with. So Ernest is correct. He did back out to a certain degree. He could have pulled the James Harden if he ultimately wanted to play with Bam. And it seems like he kind of does. Because why would you say Bam Adebayo and not even, first off, Giannis, who's also one of the best players in the NBA, his teammate, which is funny that he left him off. But he also left off other players that are better than Bam by a mile. He left off Embiid. He left off the Joker. It's just interesting that he keeps saying that. Is he that tight with his boy that he just wants to say Bam Adebayo? Like, it's really interesting, right? So to Ernest's point, I don't know if he can get to the Miami Heat at this point because he is 34, going to be 35. It might have been too late at this point, right? It might be too late. This was the perfect year, and it all messed up. And, yeah, Dame, to your point, Ernest, showed out like, hey, I might be messing up right now, but it's a team game. It's the Milwaukee
Yep.
Bucks. It's not just me. There's injuries. There's coaching shit, and like he did say, hey, look, I could still shoot. I could still dominate against the best, even though that wasn't a real game. But anyway, let's switch gears out of the All-Star.
Martel, what you think?
Yeah, we didn't hear from Martel.
That's a good
Man, listen, it's all foolery. Like at the end of the day, Dame should have stuck to his word just a little bit longer. Like I think, like if he would have done that, we would have been okay. But I don't really even think we need Dame. You know what I mean? Because Dame he had multiple chances to leave Portland like in the past, and he didn't.
For sure.
So you know what I mean? I just think that we don't really need Dame. I think the biggest thing, which we all know, is just size and rebounding. That's what this Miami Heat team really needs. But other than that, I don't think that we need Dame going forward.
I think we could have used Dame. We could have used Dame. It would have been great.
Used him.
Yeah.
It would have been great, but I'm not gonna cry about it because think about it.
Yeah.
His defense has dropped off tremendously, and to be honest, yeah, he's had decent moments like in the playoffs, but other than that, and he's had pretty good teams in Portland. Like I know that we like to trash him, but he's had pretty good teams in Portland, and they were up on a lot of series versus the Golden State Warriors. So, like I said, I'd rather rock with the team that we have. It's a shame that we can't get certain players, but that's just the politics of the NBA.
It is what it is.
Hey, I would say this though. Let me tell you something real quick, and I want to bring this segment up real quick. Spo, I think we got to talk about Spo real quick, dog. I think I call him the greatest coach. I think he's great. But, bro, Spo's actually low-key holding us back. And I wanted to talk to you guys. He's holding us back in some senses. No one wants to talk about it, but he is. Mm-hmm. What Ethan told me what told me. Bam made a joke. I made a video out of it. But I think Bam's telling the truth. And I get both sides. I was like, Bam don't want to shoot consistent threes because there's nobody in the paint that can get a rebound. But what he's saying, there's always some truth to it. He pretty much says, tell Spo, show him the clip. Spo's not letting Bam shoot the fucking three. Don't tell me why, because the best centers in the league are shooting threes in this league. Cat, fucking Jokic, and B, they're all the best. I think he needs to add that to the game, but I get the other side of it too. And then Spo wants to play smaller. Like there's a lot of little stuff that he does he nitpicks, and it's frustrating because like, bro, stop doing all this nitpicking and let's actually do something to freaking win. Because like we could talk about this front office does this and that. We haven't won. That's all that matters to me at the end of the day. We gotta win. And we haven't done none of that shit. So,
I mean,
that's just my.
I said before the season, if Bam has an offense like Chris Bosh, he's an MVP candidate, hands down. It's not his game. I know he can hit the three, but it's not his game. And we've talked about this before. Why doesn't Bam shoot threes? Who the fuck is gonna pick up the rebound when he misses? There you go. There's your answer.
And that's back to Spo though, because remember what Ethan said. Remember what Ethan said about if Riley wants somebody 6'10", but Spo's like, I don't want that. I want to play a little smaller. If Ethan's,
but there's nobody. There's nobody. Like that's the thing, because we have to remember, you guys. It's not like the Heat doesn't want to pick up a big guy. Even Ethan said they do. There just wasn't anyone available. We went for Dame all off season. There was nobody else we were trying to get. There was Christian Wood. There was a few guys. They signed with other teams because Miami was waiting for the Dame situation. It blew up in our face after he wasn't available. There was nobody left. So what are you going to do? Then the buyout market. What can we get now? Robin Lopez. Is he going to play? No. Like, was Thaddeus Young or Danilo Gallinari going to play in this team? No. That's why we picked up DeLon Wright, because Rozier's hurt. Richardson's hurt. So we're going to need somebody to play those positions. I just feel that it's not like Spo doesn't want a big guy. I'm sure he'll play a big guy down there if the guy is good enough. We just don't have it. Thomas Bryant, he got minutes earlier this season, but he sucks defensively. And Spo, he likes guys he likes playing the small ball, but he likes guys that are centered around defense. That's why you see Highsmith play a lot. That's why you see Martin play a lot. I just feel that I think Bam can shoot threes. I agree with you, Trent. It's just there's nobody that's going to grab the rebound, honestly.
Ernest, let me tell you something. Denver, my fault, Amir, but the Denver Nuggets just recently just won a championship. They weren't known as the great defenders on their team. They just whooped our ass. They had better offensive players than us. Look at their whole starting lineup: Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Jokic. Everybody could score. Bruce Brown.
What you just said right there, you have three guys in the front court that are all 6'10" and above.
Yeah, that's true, right? But guess what? They're also very good offensive skill. Like Michael Porter Jr., don't leave him open, right? Aaron Gordon was always a proven scorer back in Orlando days. and he still has it to this day. Like that team, just like bro, I tell you guys this all the time. This is a scoring league. This is just a scoring league. That's it. Like you just scored. You just seen the All-Star game. I get it. They don't play defense, but they just scored 200 points.
That's what the Miami Heat need to do, bro. And that's got to fall on guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. Like, if we want to compete with the best in the playoffs, you need our guys that can put the ball in the hoop to put it in the hoop. And one thing we need to start focusing on the second half of the season, I saw Tim Hardaway today on the OGs podcast with Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem, and he was right. Terry Rozier needs to get this ball more in the second half of the season. They need to give Rozier more of a focal point on offense, because Tim Hardaway was right. If you center the offense around Rozier and you allow Tyler to do his 20 to 30 and get Duncan his shots, it's going to allow the pressure to come off of Jimmy. Now Jimmy can focus on being who he is, the best two-way player in the NBA, the best defensive wing in the NBA, and in the fourth quarter, the guy that'll break hearts. You let Bam do what he does. But when I heard Tim Hardaway say that today, I'm like, damn, that's a really good point.
For sure. Just to counter some of the stuff you guys have been saying, I'll try to go reverse order. So defense is important, though, because the Nuggets last year, Trent, and this year were one of the only few teams like Boston that were top 10 in offensive rating and defensive rating. So they were obviously a better offensive juggernaut with Jamal Murray healthy,
Yep.
Joker one of the best. But like overall, they were a top 5 defense. So like I know offense matters more. It's a scoring league now, but defense still matters. And I could tell you a stat. In the last 2 weeks, the Miami Heat, in the last 8 games, we were 6-2 before the break. We were the 3rd best defensive team in the NBA in the last 2 weeks. So again, offensively, we're dog shit. We're 25th. We can't score. We're like bottom in the NBA in scoring. So defense still is important. But to your point, if we're going to win, we need to be good at defense and offense. So, of course, to what Ernest was saying about Terry Rozier getting the ball more in his hands, Duncan getting more minutes, shooting better, all that is definitely important. But also going back to the Bam three-point shooting thing, I think that's all BS. Like, if Bam wanted to shoot threes, Eric Spoelstra is not going to stop him. Like, also, we're talking about who's going to rebound. It's offensive rebounds. We're horrible at offensive rebounding, even with Bam right now down in the post. We're ranked 20th. We're 29th in defensive rebounding. That's why we always talk about we need to upgrade in size. We're 27th overall in rebounding. So who cares if Bam's shooting threes? Make them at a high clip, then it doesn't matter because it's hard to offensive rebound in the NBA, right? Like it's easier to get a defensive rebound because you're in position. So
yeah.
I understand what you guys are saying, obviously, but also it's a psychological thing with Bam right now. He's not the greatest shooter. He's been developing slowly and slowly. Like when he first started and he was playing behind Whiteside, he was only a dunker, only in the dunker spot, only hook shots, couldn't shoot, couldn't do any turnaround fadeaway, no mid-range. He's developing it, and he will. He's still 26. Chris Bosh was a little bit older when he came to the Heat, and if he can shoot like Chris Bosh, to your point, Ernest, and like shoot consistently from the top of the key, from the corners like a Kevin Garnett, and then eventually extend it to the three-point range, he's going to be unstoppable. But he's not an offensive player. You can tell it's in his mindset. Like, imagine, Trent, you're a hooper. Ernest, you play. If you're not like the greatest shooter, you usually drive and attack the rim, right? And like, shoot, and you're inconsistent, you do hesitate psychologically. So I don't think he's going to get punished, and Spo says that shit to him. It's just not his most effective part of his game yet.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Bosh didn't become a three-point shooter until towards the tail end of his career when he was in his 30s. And with Bam, I don't think he needs to do that. Like that, you develop that part of your game when you get older. Like when you're a guy that can get to the paint and finish, you don't need the shot. Like it's great to have it, like Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. But when you're a guy that can finish at the hoop at that size, you really don't need the three-point shot. Now, I agree with Trent. Some of the best centers in the NBA are centers that can hit threes. It would be nice if Ben has that part of his game, but the fact that he doesn't take that many three-point shots shows me that that's not an element of his game. It definitely can happen towards the future, but I mean, and if we say that Bam's not an offensive player, I mean, the last 2 to 3 seasons, he's been averaging about 20 points a game. So to me, that's an offensive player. If you can average 20 points a game, you're a fucking scorer. So Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler are all averaging over 20 points a game for the last 3 years.
That's a ceiling, though. We know that's a ceiling, but he's a damn good. Not many people get 20 points per game. I mean, a lot of people do, obviously. There's like 70 people that can do it, but how many players are in the NBA? So that's a good point as well.
I mean, I'll bring this point up, though, because I played ball my whole life. for you to get it better, you have to work on your game. So you're telling me each off season he's not working on that and then brings it to the court? That's my problem. That's the problem that I have with I couldn't use my left hand, right? So first year, I'm using straight right hand. Oh, the next year I come back, I'm using my left hand. I'm not going to use it during the off season and go into the games and be like, I'm not going to use it. No. So like I said, it is more a Bam and thing, but I do think Spo will be like, but yeah.
That's the weirdest shit though. It's like a psychological thing. You have to give credibility to defense because these are the most elite players on earth. Rajon Rondo, you think he's not in the gym? That guy is an NBA champion. That guy's passionate. You think Rondo wasn't working on threes? You think Draymond, who's doing insane? I can't believe he's shooting in the 40s consistently right now. But you think Draymond's not playing with the Splash Brothers in his career, trying to get better? You know, Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, even like these guys. Their office, we go to an office or we go to a work site and that's like our job. Could you imagine if you're like, all right, I gotta go to the office, gotta go lift some weights, I gotta go shoot 1,000,000 shots, like we're in heaven, right? So like they're trying, but there's different elements, right? There's just some players just can't shoot like a Steph Curry, and I don't even want to say Steph Curry, like some people just can't, like a Rajon Rondo like never got much better at shooting. So it's a weird thing. It's like a psychological thing, but then also you have to give credit when the lights shine. There's that element. There's different variables. But anyway, this was good that we hopped on because, again, we didn't know what the hell we were going to really talk about. Because talk it's harder when there's no games going on. But, like, when we get together, this was fun. Like, we just shoot the shit and start about the team and we think about different things, which is good. So I'm happy that we were able to hop on today and give you guys just a quicker, I guess it's not a quick video. It's 26 minutes. We're at 26 minutes, but this is a shorter video for a roundtable. But we will definitely get back to you soon once the NBA starts on Friday. We have a 4-game road trip that's going to be super important, playing against the Pelicans, the Kings, the Nuggets, and the Trailblazers. So
tough one.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough road trip. And the month of March, though, it gets a lot easier. So we talked about that before. We have a lot of easy games. I think we have like the 5th or 6th easiest schedule for the remainder of the year. So that should be music to our ears, and hopefully we get healthy in time. But also, do you guys know if Jimmy Butler is playing and Terry Rozier? I don't think I saw any.
No updates. No updates are given yet. I think they're questionable right now. I know Richardson's out.
Richardson's out. He's going to be out probably for another couple weeks. But is it any word on Jimmy at least? Because obviously he's not hurt. So
Nothing
yet?
He'll probably come on like on Thursday. Usually, like a day or two before. That's when injury reports come out.
Okay. Well, we know he's on IG now, working out, like trying to get back into shape after he hasn't.
I think he'll be good to go, ready. Maybe not the game against New Orleans, but one of the games in the trip, hopefully.
He better be. We need him. But anyway, it was good talking to you guys. Thanks for hopping on, and we'll come back hopefully this weekend or early next week.
Well, before we close off, everybody remember Miami Heat Network. Team to be Miami Heat Talk, and I know Martell dropped off, but the Miami Heat Zone podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to all 4 channels. We're all trying to do big things to give you guys updates. Please continue to love, continue to support. Until next time, guys, Miami Heat Roundtable out. That's enough said.
Peace out, guys.